bring in presidential historian and author Lindsay Chervinsky. Lindsay, I know that you saw this ruling yesterday, and I have to believe that part of you, as a historian, was excited. You're like, whoa, this is new, fresh information to run with, and this just changes everything that I've worked on in my life's work. But how significant is the Supreme Court decision when it comes to presidential powers, and what does it portend?
Well, it certainly was a historic decision. I'm not sure I would say I was excited, more just like unbelievably shocked, because I initially studied in my work, I studied the founding era, and the framers of the Constitution and those who fought in the Revolutionary War were very explicit that they were trying to create a system in which no one was above the law, and that the president could be held accountable for his actions because a king could not. And that was really a problem for them. And so for the Supreme Court to say that there were all of these things that the president cannot be held accountable for, I think would just be so unbelievably shocking to the people who had crafted this really important document.
And Lindsay, not only be accountable for, but you can't even use the information that might lead to accountability to prosecute the president. Former White House counsel in the Nixon administration, John Dean, says President Nixon would have, quote, survived had the Watergate scandal under this ruling been in place. But is that really the case?
I think that he's right. I mean, I'm so glad you brought up what John Dean said, because I was looking at those statements yesterday as well. And, you know, what was amazing about at the time of Watergate, Nixon famously said, if the president does it, it's not illegal. And people laughed at him. They didn't think that that was true. And we know that Nixon himself didn't really believe that it was true, because he accepted a pardon. He accepted that there was legal liability for him and that there was wrongdoing. That is what a pardon is. And so I think in that case, his actions really speak louder than his words, and it demonstrates how far the Supreme Court has changed in a relatively short period of time.
Lindsay, I want to switch a bit. A new CBS YouGov poll finds that 70% of Americans believe that Mr. Biden is not mentally fit to serve as president. Lindsay, how does this situation compare to other past presidents who have dealt with these issues, like President Woodrow Wilson being one?
Well, it's hard to say because, of course, we don't have access to private records. So we don't actually know what President Biden's health is, other than the pretty public reports they've made with his doctors. Woodrow Wilson's case, I think, in some ways was a little bit different, because at the very end of his presidency, he had had a number of strokes. And so he really wasn't seen for over a year at the end of his presidency. And his wife was really kind of acting as a shadow president. And that really served as, I think, a turning point in American dialogue, because prior to that point, there wasn't much of a conversation around whether or not a president was fit to serve. Health could be very unpredictable, and without modern medicine, people could be fine one week and then dead the next. And so there wasn't this expectation of, do we have to think through what someone is going to be like for 4 years? And I think Wilson was really a turning point in that dialogue starting to change.
Lindsay Chervinsky, I have reason to believe that the next couple of years will be very interesting writing indeed. Lindsay, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.